KwaZulu-Natal, as well as the Eastern Cape mostly, and Northwest. Now, confronted by the pandemic restrictions, particularly on the movement of people, Stats SA was innovative and adapted quite quickly and to develop multiple data collection methods, including computer-assisted telephonic interviews and online self-enumeration options. Stats SA introduced complete digitization of the entire census process. And this, I should say, follows in the wake of what our people have digitally savvy. When you look at the way in which we are digitally savvy, when you look at the way in which we utilize mobile telephony, we found later our people were able to receive, say, grants, particularly the social distress grant that we introduced during COVID. They received that through digital means. So the digital platform is what our people have become accustomed to. And in their millions and millions. And I'm really pleased and proud to see that Stats SA has utilized the method, the platform that our people have been so well accustomed to. As a result, Stats SA was able to undertake our census. Almost unimaginable that we could have had such a broad sweep of data collection where South Africans were counted. And when you begin to imagine it, you begin to see the enormity of the task. SG, I thought that the vaccination process, which I often spoke about from this platform here as we had our family meetings, was their biggest undertaking that South Africa had ever gone through. But today, I now know I was wrong. The census is the largest, all-encompassing process that our country in recent years has had to go through. And I can say that with the results that you've presented, you've gone through it with great distinction. And Stats SA is truly to be applauded for having a mammoth task and did it so excellently. There will be doubters. There will be those who will want to doubt your information, and they will also always raise questions, and I'm glad that they will ask you questions once I'm gone, but I'm sure you will be able. And only you, as a statistician general, it's the owner of statistics information in the country. No other. And you do this authorized by law, but now also authorized by convention, by protocol, by the way in which we are continuing to do things. And remembering that we are a young democracy, preparation. And we went through it all as you were planning and asking for more money. Professor Everhard, your chairperson here of the council, kept saying, we need more money, we need more money. Now we understand why you needed all that money. And I'm sure that as I leave, the professor and yourself will say, are you going to give us more money? And the answer is yes, we should give you more money because the work that you do is important. Now, it is a task that is also tough for your enumerators who have had to traverse the country counting people in households, in hospitals, in prisons even, and in other institutions of learning, and also counting homeless people and finding them where they live, and in transit areas as well as the borders. That's a mammoth task. And as Minister Nchabeni was saying, I mean, the picture that you showed where a stuck vehicle of Stats SA had to be pulled by cattle, by oxen, it shows a great picture of the determination of your enumerators at work. A census also involves collating, aggregating, and publishing complex demographic, health, and economic and sociological data sets. Stats SA must be commended for placing an absolute premium on the credibility and the integrity of the data and adhering to the highest international best practice methods, and also benchmarking what you do and using the guidance of the United Nations. So that in itself must infuse a lot of confidence as well as credibility in all of us in the information that Stats SA has put out. It is important that South Africans should have the utmost confidence in the numbers that have been presented today, and they should also welcome the statement by the Statistics Council on the results, because we have a Statistics Council which is also separate from the Statistics SA, and Stats SA is independent of government, and government, including myself, never know whatever the figures that they publish are. And we don't interfere. I don't even want to know before everybody else knows. And that speaks to the credibility and integrity of the information. Professor Everhart was telling me earlier that he also does not know what the figures are, and he's seeing the figures just as I also saw them for the very first time. So that speaks to the credibility of Stats SA. And of course, we all have wished to see the figures in advance. I always, wish that I get to see some of the figures about GDP. I never see them. And I'm glad I don't see them, because that confirms the independence of Stats SA. The data contained in a census is one of the most crucial planning, monitoring, and evaluation tools for government, but not only for government at all levels, national, provincial, and local, but it is also important for other role players as well. It informs the planning, the budgeting, and policy-making work of government at the most fundamental level. Underestimation programs and poor financial allocation and management. Now, unless we are able to see the bigger picture, we are unable to focus and to look through the looking glass and see what the future looks like. Now, Census 2022 gives us the information we need to implement freedom of action in a targeted, evidence-based manner. We are encouraged by the progress in the report represented by the Statistician General. We note, for example, that the number of people who are older than 20 years, as he was demonstrating there, with no education has significantly decreased. And this is one of the most important measures about the education proficiency of a country. For a country to develop and to charge ahead, you need a cohort, a large cohort of educated, and may I add, well-educated people. Now, this has now shown us that we have made tremendous progress, because it shows the number of people who now have grade 12 are more than that we had in 1996. In fact, they have doubled. And this is the real revolution, the real key change in our country, particularly as we remember what apartheid did to our country, to a central and a key life-determining aspect, which is education. When we remember that in 1996, we had so many people who had education at grade 12, we've doubled that number. That is a phenomenal achievement that we all as South Africans should be proud of. It is significant also that a large proportion of our children are now in early childhood development centers. We still have work to do, And you will recall that we moved early childhood development process or education from social development into basic education. Now that in itself was an inspired decision. Now we can see that we are focusing on early childhood development and bringing in more and more children into early childhood development, because that determines the future of the children of South Africa, who are in the end going to be the key people who run our country. Now the presentation that we saw shows that people's housing circumstances have improved, with almost 90% of South Africans now staying in formal housing. Formal housing. And we also saw on the presentation that less and less people in South Africa are living in informal, or if you like it, real old traditional housing. That is diminishing. It's coming down in leaps and bounds. And if you go around the country, you'll see that those who used to live in old roof thatch houses, those houses have been transformed. They're coming down more and more. And informal, the people who live in informal settlement, those numbers are coming down. Now that is a clear demonstration of development, a clear demonstration of showing that we are charging ahead as a nation, that we are modernizing a number of life-determining aspects of the general well-being of our population. Now, despite the present challenges of load shedding, which we are urgently trying to address, we should be encouraged by the almost universal access to electricity supply. The results that have been presented here today underscore the urgency with which we must work towards meeting the aspiration of the National Development Plan and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Just to see that many of our people now have access to electricity, almost 95%. And they have access to water. And we now have a challenge. We now need to increase the number of people who have piped water right into their homes. It is now clear that it is attainable. It is no longer a dream that many of our people had in 1994, where some never thought that they would ever have piped water. We now have reached 82% access to water, an important aspect of the life of our people. So all this shows a great deal of progress. And Census 2022 bears evidence to that, because it has told us where we are making progress, but it has also laid bare the challenges that remain. So as I look at these figures, I don't look at them with a glass-tainted sort of glasses. I look at them to reveal where we need to make progress. And that is the area that we are going to lay more emphasis on. Because what Stats SA has shown us is that we can do it. It can be done. We can give our people a better life. And we now need to complete the task and go out and reach out to those who don't have. Because in the end, as I said in one of the State of the Nation, we want to leave no one behind. And this presentation of the information shows that we can get there, and we will get there, and we are determined to get there, where we will leave no one behind in areas that are most important in the lives of our people. So this Census 2022 is going to be an invaluable tool for me and for those that I serve the nation with in government, because it is going to help us to look at how we can make further progress in meeting the challenges that beset our people. So I salute the people of South Africa who participated in this census. It is through the responses that you, as the people of South Africa, have given via the different platforms of enumeration that we are able to release these results today. We thank the census enumerators for their hard work, as well as the members of Statistics Council. Professor Everhart was explaining to me how they deal with, the process and how they bring in some of the best minds in our country to participate in this whole process. Professors at universities who spend the better part of their lives just looking at data and statistics like this. So we thank them, and they have made sure that the quality of the work that is produced by the Statistician General has integrity. So I congratulate the Statistician General, SG, Risenga Maluleke, and all Stats SA teams for ensuring that we have a credible census. Let me conclude by calling on government departments, policymakers, researchers, civil society organizations, and indeed international organizations that use information such as this, to use the information abundantly as we collectively strive to improve the lives of our people. We now have the information that we need to ensure that as we build this country, we indeed leave no one behind. And SG, I've longed to get this information. I've been making assumptions that we are at this level of population, but today you have confirmed the actual population numbers that we are. And these are numbers that we can work with to ensure that no one in our country is left behind. So thank you very much, SG, and thank you very much, Professor, and all of you for doing this wonderful work. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Mr. President.
You're most welcome, Melo.
Can we be friends?
We are friends. Thank you, Melo. Now, if you were normal, I would shake your hand.
Yes. May I have a dance with you?
May I ask the SG and the President to please step forward, and for the SG to hand the report to the President. Please face that way. Thank you.
Stand near Melo.
Mr. President, I have work for you. These are not just the results of the census. This is work.
I'm not lazy.
I have presents for the minister and the deputy ministers.
Yes.
So it's work that they are going to take. In this work, it's the way, Mr. President, we have the media release, we have the actual count, even the post-enumeration survey that talks to the quality of the data that were produced. So let me hand over to the minister in front of you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, SG.
And I want to hand over to the deputy ministers in front of you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Deputy Minister Moholo and Deputy Minister Mutahu. I must admit the two deputy ministers, Mr. President, keep us a lot at work. Even when we were preparing for the release of these results over the weekend, they demanded data, but I could not give them this data. I gave them the old data, waiting to release this in front of the nation. Thank you indeed.
Well done.
Just want to check with the photographers. Are you happy with the picture, or should we get everybody in front once more? Okay, Mr. President, if I may ask you to please come back. SG, Professor Everett, the Minister and the two Deputy Ministers, if you will please just stand in front for another second for a group photo, please. With the results, please. With the results. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are almost at the end of today's proceedings. Yes, Melo, we are almost done. Unless there's another item, Melo, that you'd like to add. No, I didn't think so. Just before we allow the President to take leave of us, I'd just like to deliver a short vote of thanks and express a word of appreciation to the teams from Status A as well as the Presidency, who worked really, really hard to put together this presentation today. It was a true joint effort. I'd also like to pass our sincere thanks to our DG in the Presidency, Ms. Pindile Baleni, for all her leadership and guidance in the process. And I'd also like to thank Melo for her hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
May
Melo.
I have a dance with you?
Oh, indeed, yes.
I like dancing.
Yes, I like dancing, Melo.
I will provide the music.
You can provide the music too. Maybe after the function, Melo. Thank you, Melo.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sorry I couldn't dance with you. I'm still at work, Melo. Ladies and gentlemen, as I was saying, I'd like to thank the Status A teams, the Presidency teams that put all of this presentation together and their hard work. And thank you to the leadership of Status A, the President, the ministers, as well as to the Deputy Ministers. And lastly, to our colleagues in the media. It's been a long day from the lockup up until now. We thank you for your patience as well as your support and cooperation as always. This brings us to the end of today's proceedings, and I would like to now allow the President to take leave of us, and we will now hand over the program to the leadership of Status A to further engage the media should there be any other questions. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Melo. Look forward to seeing you here in the Presidency soon.